The first time Lieutenant Ethan Vale saw the Empress of Vornith, he forgot to breathe. She stood at the heart of a throne chamber woven from living crystal, her skin shimmering like molten silver beneath the twin suns. Around her knelt an entire army of telepaths, silent, motionless, obedient. And when she turned her gaze toward him, he felt the whisper of a voice inside his skull. "Human," it said, smooth and cold as glass. "Your thoughts are loud." He stiffened, every soldier's instinct screaming to stand taller. The Terran fleet had sent him as a token of peace, a single envoy to speak to a race that read minds like open books. He hadn't expected the voice of their ruler to sound like a lullaby wrapped in lightning. "Forgive me," he managed aloud. "Humans aren't used to being overheard." The Empress's lips curved. "Then perhaps you should think quieter." Laughter rippled through the telepathic court, though none of their mouths moved. Ethan realized they were projecting amusement directly into his mind. He shivered, and not entirely from fear. The Vornith Empire ruled 3 galaxies through thought alone. They didn't conquer by weapon or fleet. They simply bent will and memory. To them, humans were curiosities, primitive minds that still needed speech. Yet something about Ethan fascinated their ruler. She summoned him again the next day. And the next. Each meeting began with silence, broken only by her voice echoing in his mind. "You hide your fear well." "I'm not afraid," he thought back before realizing he hadn't meant to. Her amusement brushed against his mind like a spark. "You just spoke without sound." A beginning. Over the weeks, the link between them deepened. She began showing him how Vornith saw the universe, through layers of emotion and memory, not matter. When she shared her thoughts, he saw endless skies of crystal and storms of pure consciousness. When he shared his, she saw laughter, rain, music, things her people had long forgotten. One night, he caught himself thinking her name, Arithale, and she smiled before he'd said a word. Rumors spread fast across both empires. The human envoy who spoke mind to mind with the Empress of Thought. The woman who answered a mortal's silent longing. To the Vornith, it was impossible. To Earth, it was dangerous. A liaison like this could fracture diplomacy, or unite 2 galaxies. Ethan didn't care. He was too busy trying to understand what she was doing to him. When they met in the meditation chamber, a sphere of suspended light, she stood close enough that the air shimmered between them. "Why me?" he finally asked aloud. "You could have chosen anyone." Her response was not words but a flood of sensation, curiosity, loneliness, and something warm and unguarded. When it faded, her thoughts took shape. "Because you think differently. You resist the silence." He swallowed hard. "And that's good. It's beautiful." She reached out and touched his temple. 1,000 memories flared in his mind. Hers. A childhood surrounded by minds that never stopped speaking. Centuries of ruling alone, her every thought echoed by millions. Silence, she told him, was her only hunger. He was the first silence she'd ever heard. The alliance between Earth and Vornith strengthened, built on their strange connection. Yet not everyone approved. The Vornith High Circle, her advisors, feared contamination of their purity. "The human must be severed," one projected coldly during council. "He clouds your mind, Majesty." Arithale's reply thundered through their thoughts like a solar flare. "He reminds me that I have one." Still, the pressure grew. Ethan began sensing her exhaustion whenever they linked. The mental weight of the Empire was crushing her. He offered to leave, to end their bond, but she refused. "No," she said inside his mind. "If you go, the silence returns. And I will drown in the noise of 1,000 voices not my own." That night, as he lay awake in his quarters, He whispered her name one last time, just in thought. "I'm here," she answered instantly, her presence blooming inside his chest. Always. War came sooner than peace. A rogue faction of Vornith generals rebelled, claiming the Empress had been compromised by the human. They struck during the alignment of moons, when the palace's psychic shields were weakest. Ethan woke to alarms screaming through his mind. Explosions rippled through the capital, soldiers turning their mental powers into weapons. Through the chaos, he felt her voice, frantic but clear. "Ethan, stay where you are." He ignored her. He ran. The throne hall was collapsing in waves of psychic energy when he reached her. She stood alone, a storm of thought tearing through her like lightning. Enemy minds attacked from all sides, trying to rip her consciousness apart. Without hesitation, he stepped into the storm. The instant their thoughts touched, pain exploded through him. He wasn't built for telepathic combat. His mind burned under the strain. But he held on to one thing, her. She screamed, not aloud, but in every mind across the planet. "Stop. He will die." The attackers faltered. In that heartbeat of hesitation, she unleashed a pulse of pure will that shattered their link and sent them collapsing. Then everything went dark. When Ethan woke, the war was over. The rebellion crushed. And he wasn't alone. Arithael sat beside his medical cocoon, eyes closed, fingers entwined with his. Her voice brushed faintly against his mind. "You are foolish." He smiled weakly. "You sound grateful for my foolishness." "I am." She opened her eyes. "You linked with me fully. No human has ever survived that." He swallowed. "Guess I'm not just any human." Her laughter, real, aloud, filled the room like dawn. "No, you are not." Months later, the coronation of peace took place beneath the twin suns. Vornith and Earth stood side by side. The Empress addressed both species simultaneously, her voice echoing in minds and ears alike. "We are more than thought. We are more than form. Today, two minds become one future." When she extended her hand toward Ethan before the entire empire, every being in the amphitheater felt the emotion radiating from her. Love, unhidden, unstoppable. The oldest telepaths wept. He took her hand, and for the first time, their link wasn't command or necessity. It was choice. Years passed and legends grew. They called her the Whisper Queen and him the Silent Consort. Together they governed through empathy rather than control. Their bond reshaped the Vornith, teaching an empire that silence wasn't weakness, it was peace. Sometimes, when the stars dimmed, Ethan would glance at her across their private chamber. She'd be staring into nothing, her mind reaching across galaxies. And he would think, softly, "Still with me?" Always, her answer came before the thought finished forming. "Always, my human." And sometimes, just sometimes, she spoke aloud, 3 words no one but him would ever hear. "I love you." And